One of the most common questions I get about public speaking is how to prepare or write a speech. Now, I like to equate it to sports. Asking, how do you prepare for a speech is the same as asking, how do you win a football game? Well, there's nearly endless ways to win a football game. You not only have to consider, the offense scoring more points than the opponent, but you also have to consider defense and special teams. But even then, when we take the question further and ask, how do you score a touchdown? There's even more things to consider. Preparing for a speech is no different, as there are so many different variables. You have to consider what you're talking about, who you're talking to, how much time do you have? Will you have access to technology? Does the crowd appreciate your humor? Are you even funny? Should you even be the one giving this talk? The questions go on, and you can see how there is no one-size-fits-all solution to how to prepare a speech. Now, there are thousands of ways to structure a speech. I dare you to Google how to organize a speech and read through every link available. Some are fantastic, some are so-so, and some just don't work for certain situations. It's kind of like trying on clothes. Sometimes you have to see what fits for the occasion, and maybe you need to make a few alterations or realize that this particular style just doesn't work for you at all. But even though there are different ways to organize a speech, there are 3 questions you can ask yourself for any speech in any context that will help guide you and give you a fast track to success for your talk. These questions come from the ancient rhetoricians' concepts of logos, pathos, and ethos. So let's take a look at each of these concepts and the questions you should be asking yourself as you prepare your speech. First up is logos. Logos is all about your structure, your organization, and the logical thread of your speech. The question you ask yourself is, what do I want my audience to know, or what do I want my audience to think or think differently about? Now, here's the thing, not just with this question, but with all questions. Sometimes I will ask this question to someone I am coaching, and I will get, a very long-winded response. Each of the questions in this strategy, but especially this one, needs to be answered in one sentence. One short sentence. I often tell my clients that they get a maximum of 2 commas for the sentence. Many people really resist that because they erroneously think that in order to add value to a speech, we need to add content. And that couldn't be further from the truth. I love this quotation from the book Smart Brevity. Never in the history of humanity have we vomited more words in more places with more velocity. In other words, we try to say too much at once. I also like to equate this concept to a book that has been transformed into a movie. Let's take Lord of the Rings, for example. This is a very thick book, a very thick series with tons of details. Those that read the books and then watched the movies might have been a bit disappointed that they cut this detail or that detail out. But those of us who never read the books and watched the movies, we didn't know any different. And here's the catch. In a speech, you are not delivering the book, and you're not even delivering the movie. You are just delivering the trailer to the movie. You are giving them enough information so that they can make a decision and then see the movie. In other words, take action on your content or not. You know the phrase, drinking from a fire hose? It's often said when there's a lot of information given to you at once. But have you ever actually tried to drink from a fire hose? I haven't, because I feel like you would get seriously injured and not even quench your thirst. But that's what we're doing when we are giving our audience too much information. We are overloading them and not even giving them what they came for. So, narrow it down. Make sure your core point can be summarized in one simple, single sentence. Next comes pathos, which is all about emotion. The question you should ask yourself here is, what do I want my audience to feel? Now, I totally understand that not every speech is intended to be this massive, heartstring-tugging, life-changing experience. Sometimes you're just presenting data at a team meeting. Still, human beings have emotions. And if you want people to actually internalize what you're saying, you need to tap into at least one emotional driver. Just pick one main feeling you want them to have. Sure, they'll experience other emotions along the way, but you want to focus on just one. And here's the trick. You have to model that feeling. Yes, you get to show emotion. If you want them to feel confident, you need to communicate that confidence. If you want them to feel inspired, you need to be inspired. If you want them to feel joyful, you get to be joyful. Do you know how much of your words people actually remember? In other words, if you were to create a pie chart of what people will remember about your speech, how much of that pie chart will actually be the words that you use? Well, according to a famous communication study, people only remember a whopping 7% of your words. That's it. The rest is nonverbal language. How you stand, how you move, your facial expressions, and your vocal variety, or how you communicated with emotion. This might be challenging if you're nervous about public speaking, but you still want to, number one, know what you want your audience to feel after your talk, and number two, be the example of that feeling you want your audience to experience. Finally, there's ethos, which is all about credibility that leads to action. A quick note on credibility. Audiences will only take action from a speaker or a leader if they trust that speaker or leader. And others can only trust us to the extent that we trust ourselves. That's right. It goes back to modeling emotions. If I don't trust myself, if I haven't prepared my talk, or if I am not really clear about what I am talking about, or if I am speaking on stage from a place of selfish intent, then the audience will sense that and they won't take action on what you say. That is why being a person of integrity, both on and off the stage, is so important when you are speaking and leading. As you speak, you are calling others to action. The question you are asking is, what do I want my audience to do? A lot of times we give a great speech, but we forget to tell people what the next step is. And that next step has to be super clear and kept simple. One or two immediate steps that they can take. That's it. If you give them a massive 22-page checklist of things to do, you risk overwhelming them. Now, sometimes you need that manual. Maybe it's a team orientation or a big training. But even then, people can't retain or follow up on too many tasks at once. Not only that, but you want to make sure that people feel successful when they start implementing your ideas. That's why you should always let people know the next 2, maybe 3 steps they can take that day or that week in order to get them started. When they start to feel that success, they will not only feel successful, but will be more willing to trust you the next time that you are on stage. One last mindset in preparing a talk. The phrase I use is, speaking is a summary. It goes back to the book turned into a movie example. We so often think that speaking to others is about overloading them with value or showing off how much we know. But speaking is simply a summary of the work that you have been doing so that you can inspire others to do the same and, more importantly, to equip them to do the same. It is an uncomfortable mindset, but less is oftentimes so much more, because then people can walk away with that feeling of success instead of being overwhelmed. And that ultimately is what you want for both you and your audience. When they feel successful applying your message, you become the kind of speaker and leader who truly makes an impact. I'd love to hear your take. How do you decide what your audience needs to know, feel, and do? Go ahead and put those in the comments. And until next time, make sure you're coming off mute and speaking up your story.